Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me I got my co-host, James.
Hey!
And today we're talking about Volume 7 of Kaguya-sama Love is War. A volume that I've been very excited to get to, mainly because of the character that's introduced in this volume, which you know which one I'm talking about. Before we get into we're going to talk about the characters as usual, followed by the comedy and the romance aspects of the volume, but real quick before we get into that, I just wanted to mention, just as part of my history with this series, is that this was the first volume that came out after I caught up with the manga,
Oh, wow.
or at least the English release,
Mm-hmm.
since that's how I read them. I buy the volumes, and so basically since this volume, I've been reading the volumes as they come out, kind of. So that was back in early 2019. But I thought it was a good place. It was a pretty fitting place to kind of go from reading them just binging to going it into once every second or third months, or however often the volumes come out. Since this is like a new. It's like a new arc in a way, I feel.
Yeah.
Since the first 6 volume dealt with the original student council, and then now you have a bit of a change here with a new main character being introduced.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a good timing, I guess. But yeah, starting with Kaguya Shinomiya, she is still in denial over her feelings about Miyuki.
Yeah.
Like, like come on, Kaguya.
Even with Hayasaka,
Right.
that's really when you see it at all, but
True.
it's just so funny that it's like as if I would want to see him or something. It's like, well, you do.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah, and because this has been a thing now for several volumes, I feel, where she is talking with Hayasaka and she just refuses to admit
mhm.
that she has feelings for Miyuki. Whenever, if it comes to it, whenever she will actually admit that, whenever that happens, if it happens, however it happens, I imagine it's gonna be pretty gratifying, I guess, because it's been
That's a
such
good
a
point.
such a struggle for her to admit it to herself, I suppose, and I mean to Hayasaka, but I think also to herself,
Well,
about this.
yeah, technically she's kind of said it in that in the previous volume where she was going to give Miyuki the cake, her
Ah,
dumb self
yes.
basically said that, but I guess that's her just coming to grips with that rather than saying it out loud, you know?
Right.
Like obviously this is kind of a case where it's a lack of a better word, a tsundere thing where no, I don't like him, like don't think that, or it's embarrassing kind of a situation. So I don't know,
Yeah.
like maybe when she's more comfortable with that and willing to accept that, I guess she'll be open. But
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, here's hoping.
this story is basically a battle between two tsunderes,
Yeah, basically,
basically.
basically.
uh, but yes, she obviously this volume is all it's all about the election process and everything, regarding that. And Kaguya worked really hard to make it happen, to make Miyuki win the election,
Mm.
and she used some pretty dirty tactics.
Oh yeah. So my take out of this volume was I saw how scary Kaguya can be in a new way
Yeah.
for a couple reasons. But before I get into that, in the past it just had been kind of her death glares at Chika and Ishigami, and I guess her defending her friends from in some cases, but this one she was using all sorts of kind of devilish means to
Mm.
try to get the competition to drop out or persuade them to uh, take a fall in the election. So that it was so interesting to see that, but it makes sense at the same time since she's kind of used those tactics to try to get Miyuki to fall for her.
Oh yeah.
Obviously they or to confess first. Obviously
Mm.
they've struggled to work, but she's basically used those underhanded and very tactical means in the past. It's just we haven't seen him in this maybe antagonistic and aggressive way
Mm.
potentially. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right way to say
Well,
it.
no, but I kind of agree because I feel like this volume, more than any of the previous ones, really shows Kaguya's bad side.
Mm.
I feel anyway.
Yeah.
She has been in touch with certain clubs or something and made so that everyone in there is going to vote for Miyuki through in some, that's not very cool. And then she blackmailed Hayato Hongo, the third runner-up for the
Oh.
uh, student
Uh,
council, into just withdrawing completely. She tried to do it with
mm-hmm.
Miko as well. Obviously, she failed at that. Miko was too headstrong, sort of, for Kaguya in a way. But yeah, like she did all of those really dirty tricks, and yeah, I don't know. She did kind of feel bad about it though. It
Yeah,
seemed.
that's true.
So at
Which is good
least,
to see.
yeah.
Like, maybe in the past she wouldn't have felt bad per se. I mean, I don't know if she had gone this far for anybody, but let's say she was trying to do that for herself, for her own political gain, if you will.
Mm.
Uh, Maybe she wouldn't have felt bad, but because it was for, I keep on saying Kaicho, for Miyuki,
Ah,
anyway, for Miyuki, um, someone she likes, she realizes, oh, that's he's not gonna like that, or he's not gonna that's not a good look for me. I'm not a
yeah.
good natured girl like Chika or something like that. She didn't
Mm.
say that, but she said that in the past.
Yeah, yeah. She clearly has those sorts of thoughts.
Hmm.
Mm.
So yeah, it's I like to see the remorse there,
Hmm.
and kind of like, why am I this way? But at the end of the day, Miyuki doesn't. Well, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to say whether Miyuki would be upset by that or not.
Yeah, he never got to know about any of those shady things
Yeah.
that she was doing behind the scenes. And I'm thinking because in the end, the results, the votes between Miyuki and Miko were really close.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, if Kaguya hadn't gone behind everyone's backs and done all these shady
Right.
things and tricks, Miko may very well have won the election.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. So it's like, oh man, like
Like,
what?
damn.
Well, yeah, yeah. So yeah, good. I guess good on Kaguya for doing what she did. I guess.
I
Uh,
guess. But I mean, ultimately, if also, and this is just very briefly on Miko Ino, but also if Miyuki hadn't intervened as he did with Miko Ino's campaign, election, whatever, she hadn't gotten all those votes either. So Miko Ino
right.
by herself wouldn't have been able to beat Miyuki anyway.
Yeah.
So even if she had won, if Kaguya hadn't done what she did, she hadn't won if Miyuki hadn't done what he did. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Right.
It totally does. I mean, to be fair, before that debate, what Kaguya did was not probably it was excessive, but
Mm.
because of it, it probably helped out in the end. Miyuki had enough
Yeah.
momentum as the previous student council president to
Mm.
probably to win by himself by
Absolutely.
default.
Yeah, yeah. I think so, for sure. For
But
sure.
anyway, this is kind of a funny way to show Kaguya's well, how far she'll go for Miyuki in
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
sense.
Definitely. Yeah, and how she afterwards she worries that Miyuki might not choose her for the student council,
Yeah,
because she feels like, because of all the bad things that she's done, and
and also
um
because how long he's waited to ask her, right, or something. Wasn't that also a worry?
uh
Or my
well, yeah, yeah, he did go to her last, I think.
hmm
Yeah. So maybe that was also a reason. But she was also upset that because she saw how well Miyuki treated Miko on the stage and how he helped her out there, even though they were rivals. And so Kaguya starts having these doubts that maybe Miyuki doesn't like her, maybe he's just nice to everybody regardless,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that
yeah,
that
yeah.
she isn't special to him. She has those worries as well before Miyuki comes in eventually and asks her to join. So
Yeah.
so yeah, those sorts of things also, like, I think without all of those doubts and feeling like remorse and without all of that, Kaguya would have felt very 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 cold and unrelatable, and I probably wouldn't have liked her very much. But thanks to all of those uh, little nuances and stuff, it's I do still enjoy her character absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So one other thing that I mentioned uh, uh, of how I view Kaguya a little differently now, in
Mm,
at least her scary side,
yeah.
is her newfound fetish with the glaring eyes, apparently, which is hilarious,
Yeah.
but it's also really weird. Like, it's weird in the sense that when Miyuki came up to her and Kashiwagi,
Mm,
just sleep deprived. The man hadn't slept in a few days probably,
yeah.
and but instead of being appalled, she was like really like not just a little bit, but like really turned on,
Yeah.
and that's I don't know, that's unhealthy.
It's yeah. That
I mean, to
I
be
mean, it's
fair,
interesting.
it was meant for a joke, kind of like to play on the true love and
Right.
kind of sexual desires or whatever. But
Uh-huh.
um, anyway, it just kind of scared me when I saw this. Like, oh goodness.
Yeah.
Uh, but I guess it just shows how much she likes Miyuki.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think, what was it, Hayasaka or someone else that made the remark that she doesn't she doesn't actually have a thing for those sorts of eyes. Like, it's the fact that Miyuki has those sorts of eyes that she likes those sorts of eyes.
Hmm.
Something
Yeah,
along those
I think it
lines.
was
Um,
Hayasaka who
right.
said that.
And I mean, obviously that's definitely true.
You wouldn't think you wouldn't think if he would go. Like, to be fair, like, when he came to school with just perfectly fine in the eyes, he had
Hmm.
good enough sleep. I had figured, okay, yeah, Kaguya is gonna have a adverse reaction to that. I think that's
Right.
fair.
Yeah.
And then when I kind of realized, oh, he's probably gonna go too far with that, I thought Kaguya would have the. I don't know. I didn't expect her to just be this into it, this into sleep deprivation. So so I guess it kind of threw me through a loop in
Yeah.
a
I
way.
I guess the heart grows fonder. She hadn't seen those eyes in a while, for a day or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
Even though they were far worse than they usually look. Yeah. Do you have anything more on Kaguya?
She's great at art.
Yeah, she's a really good artist.
Should have figured with how multi-talented she is, but
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic artist.
definitely, definitely, yeah, for sure. And we'll talk a little bit more on that later, I think.
Yeah.
On her art abilities.
One other thing is her. So her reaction to the very first chapter, like she wasn't sure what. Well, I guess it was kind of a mystery what Miyuki was going to ask her, and her
Yeah,
faces throughout that chapter are just so adorable. I
yeah,
Even up to the when he asks her to, help him with his campaign or be his campaign speaker or whatever. She's making all sorts of these um, really really cute and I don't know how to say it, like curious faces. So it's really that's really good. But the funny thing is, at the beginning of the chapter, Hayasaka basically says something like, "Oh, so you're just gonna wait for him to be the first one to confess," or maybe she
yeah,
brings it up. It's like, "Oh, he'll be the first one to confess. We haven't seen each other so long. He'll be
yeah.
the one who says that he wants to see me or something like that." And so I guess the whole chapter, she was basically expecting something like that to happen, or well, expecting Chika like more like anticipating, oh, could this be it? Could this be the moment?
Yeah.
So anyway, I like that side of her.
I think in she was anticipating Miyuki, I think, to maybe to actually confess there. I think because it had been on her mind so much, like the past couple of days. They hadn't seen each other for like 3 days or something like that, and she had been thinking about that. And I mean, everyone and like all of the students around them were under the impression that Miyuki was going to confess to her, and I think in some way she was kind of anticipating that as well. And I think maybe that's what we see in her face expressions is kind of that um, bashfulness and also kind of excitement, like kind of a mixture of that, but also but at the same time she is like good at kind of seeming more reserved. So I don't know. Obviously, this chapter wasn't that much, or at least this part of this chapter didn't show us like Kaguya's thought process and stuff like that very much. So we can't know for sure, but at least that's how I interpreted that scene.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair too, especially since all the students kind of egg both of them on.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Hinting at it, and I think they could take the hint there.
Yeah.
But I guess we could talk more about that. Some of the interaction there in the romance.
Definitely.
However, I think this is a really good chapter for Miyuki as well.
Yes, we can move on to Miyuki if you have anything specific on that chapter to kick off.
Sure, I think Miyuki finally acknowledges, maybe he has in the past, but he straight up says it, that it's his pride that's keeping him from confessing. And more so than that, it's their social status is so different. It just doesn't even compare, that he feels, at least he says he feels, he can't be the first one to confess without, basically offending her social status in a way.
Yeah.
But then for a moment he thinks, I shouldn't be making these excuses though. I should be a man and confess. And then he doesn't. he just I can't do it. I can't be the one. I kind of feel for him. I mean, one, there was a lot of pressure around him, so I don't blame him for feeling like maybe he should just confess there. But also, it's, I guess because I'm on team Kaguya, in that it's hard for him to confess because of that social status things. But if he's able to overcome that pride, and be willing to put himself out there, then I think it would obviously be a good step for him.
Yeah.
And for both of them.
I mean, absolutely. I think regardless, it's going to be good for them because they want to be together.
That's
so,
true.
Just
at this point, it probably doesn't really matter who does it. Just someone do it already.
Exactly. Yeah. But, it's very exciting to follow along with it. I actually didn't take a lot of notes from Miyuki for this volume.
Oh, really? This volume, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I did take notes on that he sleeps with a penguin plushie.
Oh yeah, that was adorable.
That was pretty cute. And also that he improved his drawing skills a lot during the art lesson. And how he kind of found his inner artist.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
I guess he was so focused on his muse that it helped him improve.
Yeah, and it's really funny.
Not that he said that, but.
Well, yeah, I know, but yeah, because you can see like his first sketch of Kaguya. It's not bad, but it's definitely not good.
I mean, it's something to brag about, yeah.
Right. But then like the final product there is like, it's beautiful. Like, damn.
Mm-hmm. One other thought is just about his debate with Miko, in that Miko is her name, right?
Miko, yeah. Uh-huh.
His little debate with Miko, I thought it shows how good of a public speaker he is, which is something we probably already knew, but nothing we had seen. So he was able to give her questions and help her out relatively easily and stay calm on stage. So he's a pretty good public speaker. And his willingness to pick up on the fact that Ishigami wanted to help her, and that she, his kindness again shines here because he saw her struggle and he knew, okay, I can help her by doing this, even though it could be detrimental to me.
Hmm.
Obviously, he was a little worried there, or he was a little worried how close it got,
Yeah.
but I think it just shows how good of a guy he is for sticking up for or helping Miko out.
Yeah, and it was actually, it reminded me, like, the fact that he did that uh, at the expense of maybe losing. Um, it reminded me of when they played the Forbidden Word game, and he has this plan, to lose on purpose so that he and Kaguya can go shopping. But then he that whole thing with Chika, so he decides to actually play seriously, and then obviously he loses that game. But he wanted to still give her a chance to go shopping with the other person who lost.
Yeah,
They're similar in the sense that in both of these situations, he gave up something that he really wanted himself in order to, well, be kind to somebody else.
yeah,
And that's really how he is. That's who he is.
I agree.
Yeah. Do you have anything more on Miyuki?
I think I'm good. This chapter was more or less more the same for him, but I mean, his first chapter was really good. I felt like for understanding
Mm.
more about his reasons and whatnot. But other than that, yeah, just good stuff. I mean, good stuff that we can go into later, I suppose.
Absolutely, absolutely. So moving on to Chika Fujiwara. We talked last time about how badly Chika was treated in the previous volume. Like
Yeah.
that was something that we were both a little bit upset with the fact, like,
Uh
just
huh.
at how much the other characters just didn't treat her fairly during the previous volume. So in this volume, when Miko Ino starts showering her with praise in that one chapter, um, I think it's a very warm welcome to Chika. I think
Oh yeah.
she really needed that, and understandably she gets a bit high on all of that praise. Um, so I thought that was nice to see. And then of course after that whole bit, I think it's in, like, I can't remember if it's at the end of the chapter or like between the chapters on that one page or something like that. But Chika sees Miko's campaign pledge, and she's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't.
She's like, nah. Oh, she's like, I cannot betray my comrades. Yeah, she says
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Yeah, but I mean, she was really flattered by all of those things that Miko said, and I think she really needed that.
Yeah, I wrote down something similar in that I think she wants some people to depend on her because maybe she has so much, or she feels like people treat her as dumb or
Mm,
incompetent or something like that. I mean, and that's why Miyuki has been able to get her to help him with a lot of things because he's depending on her.
yeah,
So I think we see that here, and with Miko just praising her and bringing to light some really cool things about her, like that piano bit was really nice insight
yeah,
into her life. So I think that really helped her self esteem in that sense.
absolutely.
Another thing about Chika, well, actually going along with she wants to be depended on and more respect. There was a moment where, again, very first chapter, he's talking to Miyuki, and they're trying to figure out who should be his, or what's it, a campaign speaker? No, I can't remember what the.
Yeah, like to do the speech for him, endorsement speech.
Yeah, endorsements. There we go. Yeah, endorsement speech, and so she lists all these things like people who's charismatic and people will trust or whatever, and Miyuki automatically thinks of Kaguya, but Chika is talking about herself,
Yeah.
And it's funny. She says, "Oh well." Once he just suggests Kaguya, he's like, "I'll never vote for you," or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, and obviously, it's meant to be a joke, but at the same time, she really, I guess, seriously thought she would be the perfect candidate.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm probably just reading too much into that little thing, but to me, and the way her attitude was the whole time, which again was meant for comedic effect more than anything. So I really am just reading into this
No, no, no.
too
Like,
much.
no, I mean, yeah, it is a comedic bit, absolutely. But I don't think you're reading into it too much. I think that for Chica to be a dependable person, I think it's a very central thing for her character. I think you're absolutely right about that, and I think this scene really shows that.
Yeah,
Even though it is played off as a joke, I think it's absolutely true.
agreed.
So, yeah.
Uh, another thing about Chica is I think I might have said something earlier or in the previous discussions about how Chica may not have many friends or that people don't confide in her in things or whatever I said. And to an extent, I think that, especially within the student council, that may be the case. Although they're friends in the student council, so it's more the
Mm,
confiding things.
mm,
Uh, but in the chapter where Kashiwagi is comforting Kaguya,
yeah.
Chika comes in and does her little funny bit, and then she leaves to go hang out with a couple people. So I was like,
True.
wait, so does she just maybe she is friends with a lot of people, and I was just overthinking it.
Although I felt like those people that she ran over to were her board game club members. Although I could be wrong about that.
I wondered that too, but I thought it didn't look like him. But maybe because I
I,
mean you can't really see him very well.
yeah,
So
it's pretty hard to see them.
the more I look at it, it could be the board game club.
It's probably what I think.
I just actually, but that one girl is wearing looks like she's wearing glasses. I don't remember the other one wearing glasses. Maybe she did. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's pointless. It's pointless to really
Right.
dive
Yeah.
into.
We have too little information.
Right. I think that's it on Chica for me.
Yeah. Same here. I didn't have too much. There's actually there wasn't a lot I had on most characters this time. There was really just one character that I took a lot of notes for, and you probably know who. But let's talk a little bit about Yu Ishigami before that.
Sure.
He wanted to win the election by a landslide.
Yeah, I was a little confused.
Yeah, I also had a little bit of trouble like understanding his thought process there because he didn't want Miko to become a laughing stock, but he still wanted to basically crush her in the votes.
Right.
So I
I
actually
don't.
don't.
I never understood it. I don't like maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah,
Maybe he was trying to be cryptic.
I'm thinking maybe one way to look at it is that he was thinking that if the difference in votes between the two wasn't that big in the end, maybe use logic then was that Miko would get more attention as the loser that way than she would if she only had a few votes. And
Ah.
and then that would bring more attention to her, but she would, having lost the election, that would have still have been a negative thing, and she would have got more negative comments. Maybe that was his thought process. I'm not entirely sure though.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. It's got to be something like, the less votes for her, the less pain she'll go through,
Yeah.
which I still kind of struggle with there, but um,
Hmm.
in the end, she did gain the respect, and obviously it was Miyuki who came in and stepped in. But if
Yeah.
it wasn't for Ishigami kind of pointing that out and basically coaxing Miyuki to do so, or at least encouraging him to do so,
Yeah.
Yeah, she wouldn't have had the happy ending to that arc or chapter
Mm,
that she did get.
right.
So
For sure.
I think yeah, she has Ishigami and Miyuki to thank for that.
Definitely. And I think you had two really good quotes in this volume. One of them
Ooh.
is related to this instance here when he said, "I don't like it when people laugh at someone who's trying their best." That's
Yeah.
that's such a good guy thing to say, and I
Mm-hmm.
love you for saying that. And he said it to Miko, who he doesn't have the highest respect for necessarily.
Yeah.
Personally, he has been on the receiving end of her criticism and
She took my game.
yeah, like stuff like that.
Enemy.
So like it's clear that he doesn't think too well of her, but at the same time regardless, he doesn't want someone who's doing their best to be laughed at for that, and that really touched me. And the second quote from this volume from Ishigami that I thought was really nice was, "Whatever love one holds in one's heart, that's true love."
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know, like it's just kind of cheesy, and I think Nagisa Kashiwagi didn't like it very much at all. But
No, she
it
didn't.
really helped Kaguya, and I liked it personally. So, yeah,
Well, you know, I don't know if we should save this discussion for the comedy or now, but
Hmm.
I that whole true love part was very interesting to me. I mean,
Yeah,
like how obviously fairy tale love. Okay, that's everyone has like a prince writing or no, Prince Charming. That's the word. Prince Charming is, for them out there. No, that's not a thing.
yeah,
But the concept of true love, I don't know. Like I don't like because like Ishigami said, like true love. Yeah, that exactly that quote. I can't remember off the top of my head what he just said, but
but yeah, like whatever love one holds in one's heart, that's true love.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, what I don't understand what's wrong with believing that to be true love.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I don't know. Like so maybe the culture in Japan right now is a little different in that case. I don't know.
Well, we had four characters in that chapter talk about true love in some way. We had you and Kaguya, who thought of true love as something good, something something one should strive for, whatever kind of love it is. It's true love for Ishigami, and Kaguya. She didn't want to taint her true love for Miyuki and all that. So for them, true love wasn't anything weird or anything at all. And then the other two characters, Chika and Nagisa, they thought of true love as something just ridiculous and fairy tale-ish and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think basically in the chapter that we had 50-50, like 50% of the characters thought it was a good thing, 50% thought it was a weird thing. So I think
Yeah,
with that in mind, I guess like it leaves it ambiguous as to like what actually like it's kind of up to us, I think, to make up our own minds about that.
I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, it is always up to ourselves. But the way that the concept of true love is set, it, like how the narrator explains it, it explains it as foolish and just not something you would have in real life. It's a concept for elementary school kids or whatever.
Right.
And so I mean, yeah, it's like normal people would never use such a romantic trope. And so I wonder, part of me wonders what the Japanese actually says, because maybe the English translation just doesn't connect as well.
Actually, if I may touch on this on the anime adaptation of this chapter,
Sure.
obviously I don't speak Japanese,
Uh
but
huh.
if I recall, and I think, and I like in my head right now, I remember it quite vividly. When the narrator comes in this scene and starts talking, and in the manga it's just this panel where it just says with big letters "True Love." That's basically exactly in the manga too, or in the anime too. The narrator's voice comes in like True love. He says it in English.
Okay.
So I guess they use the English word entirely, at least for that phrase in that chapter.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. So what it is they've taken the fairy tale concept of true love and only the fairy tale meaning. So to a Japanese person, if you would say true love, it would mean like, Prince Charming is kissing Snow White or whatever.
Okay.
That kind of thing. That's how I interpret it. But
Maybe.
to me and you who are English speakers, we hear true love. It's like, well, I mean, that true love is there's multiple kinds of true love. You got the fairy tale, but then you have, you know, people who are sacrificing something for another. That's true love.
True. Right.
So that hearing that makes a lot more sense.
All right.
I don't know how the translation would have changed that at all. It probably would have. Maybe they say fairy tale love, but then again, who goes around saying fairy tale love? Nobody.
Right.
So anyway,
Yeah.
thank you for clearing that up. Like
Oh
that,
yeah, I'm glad I could help.
that helps. Because honestly, I was having a kind of an existential crisis. I really was. I was like, oh my gosh, am I that sheltered to and think that true love is a thing? And obviously not the fairy tale stuff. No, I don't.
Right.
No.
Right.
Anyway,
I see. Well, yeah. Good to know. And thank you for letting me know about sort of how that
my
is,
insecurities.
like that. Well, no, but about that phrase in in Japan, like how they interpret that kind of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, I don't think it's a common phrase.
Fair. So I guess it's fair for these characters to have different interpretations of it. In that,
Yeah,
if that's the case.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything more on you?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. I'm just sitting here getting so excited. We've been getting closer and closer to Miko Ino, and now we are here. Now we're gonna talk about her, and I I think I took more notes for her from this volume than I have ever taken notes for any one character for any of the
Wow.
previous volumes.
Good night, Petter. Petter,
Yeah.
you're simping. You're sipping a little too much.
I am. I admit. I absolutely 100% am. But basically, let me just start off by listing some of the just easy information that we learn about her this
Okay.
volume. We learn that she's a first-year student at Shushin Academy, and she has pretty much always had the best grades in her class or in her grade. She's a member of the disciplinary committee, which we did hear referred to by name in one of the previous volumes, and I think I pointed that out then when we talked about that volume, although it was really just a mention in like pass by. We also learned that she plays the piano. She looked up to Chika in that, and she does not like you, Ishigami, as a lot of first years seem to not like him, but. And finally, out of these just very simple bits of information, she really likes shaved heads. Hashtag I want to pet shaved heads.
Don't do it. Don't do it, gentlemen.
Yeah. No, don't. I like that. That's one place where I definitely don't agree with Miko.
Well, one other thing about her just physical characteristic, I did not realize how short she was.
Oh yeah,
And
she's
so-
very short.
So, because basically, I had I knew of this character. I had seen the promotional for season 2, and I saw her there, but I never realized that she's even for a girl, she's really short.
Yep.
She's very small. So that was kind of surprising, and
Yeah.
it kind of adds to her character as this maybe feisty Chihuahua. Who,
Yeah, 100 definitely.
yeah,
Feisty Chihuahua. That's perfect.
like
Yeah.
it just anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, moving on, we learned that she has, she's alone a lot of the time, most of the time, because her parents are both really busy at work. And she just she just wants everyone in the world to behave because, that's kind of the reason why her parents don't have time for her. Is, basically, if everyone in the world would behave, her parents would not be able to, would not have to be away from her as much as they are. So with that backstory that we got for her, which I thought was very moving.
It's moving and kind of a unique take on someone who's really strict.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, sometimes you have the strict types, and there's really not too much of a rhyme or reason besides how they were raised. And I guess you could say this is the same thing, but it's a little different in that if her parent, she has like a wholesome intention to try to get people to behave.
Yeah,
So I find it rather interesting.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good, like a really fitting and really interesting way to give her reason for her personality and or for everything that she does here in the first volume that we see here. I mean, she does have a lot of ridiculous ideas. Absolutely,
Very much so.
there's a lot of very she goes too far in a lot of the time, but she does also have some good ideas, I think. Like for example, when she's debating with Miyuki on the stage, she brings up the campfires that they used to have at the school's culture festivals, and how in the past these campfires, or basically there was complaints that the students around the campfire were littering and just bad behavior overall.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And so instead of making sure that this bad behavior and the littering would stop, the school just quit doing the campfires entirely. So with that, I actually completely agree with Miko that instead of doing that, they should have actually improved the students' behavior. Actually made an effort in that direction instead, so that they could have been able to keep the campfires. I think that would have been a more favorable option overall.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's the harder option, but it's I think ultimately the more fun one, like the better one. And so yeah, I think that's a good example of kind of what Miko is about. She wants these really nice things for everyone, but she needs everyone to cooperate and to behave in order to kind of get those things.
Yeah, I could see that. I guess what I took away from it was she very much came prepared with points to support herself. She just had trouble expressing it, and
Yeah,
and so those points that she made were all very good. Just the means to those points were very extreme, and I didn't quite understand how be having a shaved head and certain other strict rules would have changed too much. Besides, I guess being less messy. I don't know, but I do agree. I do like her. I guess the points she brings, her points for debates, those are very well thought out.
yeah, and I mean, in some instances there aren't. I think in some instances you're right in that she hasn't got a good reason for it necessarily. Like the shaved heads, that seemed to mostly be a thing that she had a thing for. She, um, I guess it looks clean and proper, I guess, to her, but
Mm-hmm.
also but
Yeah.
also it felt like a kind of a personal thing,
You're right.
more than anything else, in that with that thing. And yeah, she has these ridiculous things about boys and girls shouldn't be able to get within 20 inches of each other or whatever it was,
Something like that.
which obviously is absurd, but it's her way of kind of making sure that everyone behaves and is like acting properly and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, I understand she means well. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about her backstory and that, but also that she wants the school's reputation to be improved, and
Yes,
she just personally thinks these extreme measures are needed in order to do that.
definitely. And I think she has a lot to learn herself, because
Yeah.
well, clearly she, with the background that she has, she's very set on this one path to make the world a better place from the
Mm-hmm.
standpoint that she comes from. And I think she's a bit too narrow minded on that right now. Like that's been her niche, and she kind of hasn't gotten like widened her view much beyond that.
Yeah.
So I think she has a lot to learn in that aspect, and I think with even with the ideas that she has that are good ideas, even there in some of the cases she doesn't have the skill to come up with solid plans for them all the time. So I think there's room for growth in that aspect as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also as a public speaker for sure, that's also an area where she needs to kind of grow. Speaking of that, we learned that she has like she writes the kanji for people in the palm of her hand and swallows
Yeah.
as like a technique to kind of help ease her stage fright.
I like that.
Yeah, it was a nice little thing. I mean, because that's the first little hint that we saw of her having stage fright, because we didn't really
Mm-hmm.
know. But then she we see her do that little ritual before she goes on stage, and where it's revealed that her stage fright is severe, like it's really really bad. And we also learned that she has run for student council many times in the past, but she's always lost, and her stage fright has become worse and worse for every loss, pretty much. Which is really sad, but it makes sense. But just her, I feel like her self confidence has just gotten worse and worse over time, and maybe that kind of goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah.
And there were some really wholesome moments, I think, with Miko Ino this volume where, you know, I just couldn't help but like just smile and just be really touched by it. One was when Miko ends up getting like way more votes than I think any of us expected her to get, and
Mm-hmm.
she gets all that support from the other students, and like just seeing her there was really really nice, and how happy she looks, even though she lost, she's still really really happy about that. And and then later on when Miyuki comes and invites her to join the student council, which was like a first time anyone invited her to that, and she was so happy in that moment, and I don't know, it just made me really happy too to see that.
I agree. I enjoyed those moments a lot. I think they were built up very well.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh my God. Finally, I just wanted to mention about Miko Ino that I think she is kind of like the fifth main character at this point right now.
Okay.
I guess we could count I as a main character as well, but debatably. And if we do that, then I guess Miko is the sixth main character introduced in the story. But I think out of all of the characters before her, Miko's debut is the strongest one out of any of the other characters, in my opinion. Stronger even than the two, Kaguya and Miyuki, just as an opening.
Yeah, I can see that just because it goes so quickly into a bit of her backstory and
Right.
why she basically thinks the way she does, and how she has that incredible moment for her. Yeah, so yeah, I think I agree with
Yeah.
that.
And I think it was probably necessary since she did come in a couple volumes later than everybody else.
Yeah.
Uh, so she needed a bit of she needed a strong opening. And while she with this volume she might not be my favorite character yet. With
Mm-hmm.
this like only with this volume, but you know she is my favorite character overall in the story. But it will take a few volumes for her to actually get there, I think. Uh, but thanks to the really strong debut in this volume, she started off by getting very very close, I think, to the top in my mind anyway.
Yeah. No, she's a strong character. I need to see more of her.
Of course.
Just going forward compared to the other ones. But I think yeah, she's a good. Probably will be a good addition. I'm interested to see a couple of her relationships. One with
Mm,
Ishigami. Not so much. I'm not talking romantically.
mm,
I mean, maybe there could be something there, but well, not just maybe, like it could be like a story thing. But anyway, I'm not talking about romantically right now. What I am talking about is just what sort of backstory they have, whether it just be rumors that she's heard about him, or did they actually have interaction that went sour, besides her taking his game. Uh, so I'm interested to see
Mm.
that. I'm also interested to see more of her and Chika,
Uh-huh.
because just how much she adores Chika and kind of respects her. I really want to see, not necessarily more of that part, but I just want to see their interactions with each other and some of the comedic things that could happen there.
Yeah.
And then I also just want to see how she'll affect the student council, because she comes into student council and we only really see her once, a little bit after that.
Yeah.
So obviously in the next few volumes we'll see more of that, but I'm excited to see in what way her dynamic switches things up.
Definitely. Definitely. I was thinking, well, you mentioned her history or just relationship in general with you. I would just like to point out one other very simple possibility as to their past is just that I think, her with being not only part of the disciplinary committee but also being the way she is, and being up in everybody's face about behaving in various ways, clashes very very much with Yu's
That's true.
just overall character of just not really giving a shit about anything, and just bringing video games to school, and bitching, or
Well, and I think out of all the guys we've seen, he has the longest hair, right?
oh yeah, you're right.
Which is the complete opposite of the shaved head.
Yeah,
So.
I actually thought about that as well. So yeah, I guess, yeah, they probably have an easy time clashing with one another.
I agree with that.
So yeah, that's everything that I had written down on Miko Ino for this volume. Sorry I didn't have more.
How dare you?
Do you have anything more?
I think I'm good. This is a really good introduction for her,
Yes.
and yeah, can't wait to see what else she brings.
Moving on to Ai Hayasaka then.
I did have something.
Yeah.
We see her cute popular girl mode with
Yeah.
with Miyuki, and she kind of is the one who eggs on the rest of the students, basically. So I mean, good on Hayasaka, or depending on how you look at it, I guess. But so it's interesting to see that personality, and even Miyuki was like, "Wait, haven't I seen you before?"
Yeah.
Like, well, duh, we're in the same school.
Yeah.
So it's very, her master of disguises are very clever. I like.
Yeah, like, and just the fact, like, she just switches to popular girl mode like on a dime,
Yeah,
and
that's
like
true.
she's in that persona like so quickly, so naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote down about this volume that there's that moment when she's kind of provoking Kaguya a bit. Was it the beginning of the volume? I can't remember right now
I
where
think so.
that was. It probably was. But anyway, like, I think basically, I think her provoking Kaguya in that kind of way, I kind of see that as her way of helping to push Kaguya in the right direction.
Yeah.
So it's funny, and she likes to tease Kaguya, but I think she's definitely doing it for Kaguya and to kind of egg her on, and yeah,
I agree.
I think
I agree.
it's nice.
One other thing about her is her sarcasm towards Chika is pretty funny.
Yes.
At least in the art chapter where they were art partners or whatever. I don't know, just the way she treated her with such not disdain, maybe I don't know, like she's like, "Oh great, I'm with the airhead."
Yeah. Yeah, that was really funny. I don't there was probably wasn't too much on this volume
No,
though,
not really.
so I don't have too much on her either. But we can move on to Nagisa Kashiwagi.
Kashiwagi.
At this point, she really understands Kaguya like so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Kaguya comes in and talk, yeah, it's about my friend and this guy, and she immediately like, yeah, it's Kaguya and
Okay,
Miyuki.
yeah.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
yeah, sure, sure.
It's funny to me how Kashiwagi's definitely become the person who gives advice rather than the one who seeks advice.
Yes,
The psychiatrist, if you will.
really,
So
really, yeah,
it's funny with that. But I also like how she's willing to kind of protect Kaguya in a way. You know, she when Chika came in, she didn't want people to think less of Kaguya, so she basically put it on herself. And I think it was the same with others as well. So like she said that she was the one having issues with the true love or whatever, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
Kashiwagi was having issues.
Uh huh.
So it's I like how she was protective of the Kaguya image, if you will.
Yeah, like what a champ she was
Yeah,
for doing that.
yeah.
I just like so much respect for Nagisa for doing that, even though she herself doesn't even believe in true love at all, and but she was still prepared to stand up for Kaguya in that moment, which was just really sweet of her.
Indeed.
Yeah, we were getting like little by little, we were getting a little bit of stuff on her.
Yeah, little by
uh,
little. I'm glad she was here more, and I'm all for more Kashiwagi.
yes, yes. Good. We could move on to the next character who hasn't had a name in previous volumes, but she got one here. I'm talking about Maki,
Oh yeah, Maki. Mm-hmm.
who is the girl who likes
Drinking milk.
she likes milk and she likes Kashiwagi's boyfriend too. Yeah, we finally have a name for her. And I don't know if you remember, back in volume 3, there was a scoreboard after the
Mm-hmm.
exam. You do remember.
Yeah, I remember we had talked about it and you pointed it out and everything.
Right. Yeah, yeah. That name was Maki Shijo. Basically, she was like right below Kaguya on the score list. Like it was Miyuki,
Dang.
Kaguya, and this Maki Shijo that were basically the three top ones, and they were kind of in a league of their own. So it's safe to assume this is her, based on her first name.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to point that out. So Maki Shijo,
She's smart.
she's really smart apparently, yeah, or at least a good student.
Yeah, that's
uh,
really really good.
but yeah, like and we see her. Not only do we get a name for her this volume, we also she gets her first line of speech this volume. That isn't like
Yeah.
a between volumes thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think, and that also that isn't in a flashback because she actually in the first volume she did speak in a flashback
Oh, that's true. Right, right.
when Kashiwagi's boyfriend, was talking about what the girls said about him. But anyway,
I like what she says. Like, oh, I see them flirting all the time after school. They must be a good. I. It's so funny. Like she's just. I don't know if she's purposely observed. Well, I mean, she was stalking Kashiwagi and the boyfriend, so maybe she's kind of like a people watcher, I guess.
I think so. It seems that way so far. I think, and we did know that she did see when Kaguya put her lips on,
Mm-hmm.
or put her finger on Miyuki's lips.
Yeah, and she's like, "What in the world? What did I just see?"
Yeah.
What one other thing about her is something that I messaged you earlier about. So I just throw this theory out there.
Mm.
I remember how we've talked about Kashiwagi's boyfriend being the loser in their battle for love, or whatever, and that's why he doesn't have a name because he doesn't matter. He's the loser. I mean, he's happy because he confessed and he's in a relationship, but Kashiwagi Nagisa is the one who won. Like she's the victor.
Yeah.
And so you have that example for Kaguya and Miyuki. I mean, I guess they could see signs of it, but they haven't acknowledged it really.
Mm.
That if one of them confesses first, then they will be the ones who will be changed to match the desires, or they'll be whipped around or whatever. Um, Not that Kashiwagi whips her boyfriend around. I don't think.
I
I
mean,
don't
we
know.
don't know.
I don't know. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, she clearly has a certain image that she likes that I was really surprised about. Anyway, about Maki, is that her name?
Yeah.
Maki, she's I think she's kind of an example of what happens if you take too long to confess, if you don't confess. And so maybe it's an example for Kaguya and Miyuki. If neither of them confess to each other, then maybe someone will come along and confess to the other and basically put, you know, make it impossible to have any sort of relationship. So maybe Maki's pride and embarrassment or whatever kept her from confessing her feelings for Kashiwagi's boyfriend, and now she's regretting that.
Yeah.
Maybe that could end up being a possible example for Kaguya and Miyuki to be wary of. Now, don't know if they'll actually notice that or acknowledge that, but that's kind of what the vibes I'm getting are. So maybe we'll see that when she finally gets a better introduction.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it's at least an example of that for the readers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So it's
for the
at least
readers.
that, and maybe even more than that. But yeah, and although for me personally, I just I just wish I just wish she would find love as well. I just obviously we don't have reason to care
I
about
don't
her
really
yet.
know
Yeah.
much about her other than I do feel every time she at the end of those chapters she would cry or be sad. Like I did feel bad for her,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like I don't know too much about her.
Right, which makes sense. Like you don't have any reason to care about her yet. But yeah, she really is taking her time to get properly into the story, but it is kind of fun to get teased like that, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a tease.
Yeah, so we can move on to the next one. A girl that I don't know if her name was actually mentioned in this volume or not, but the girl with the big glasses, the Miko's
Yeah,
friend. Did she
I
get a
don't.
name? I can't recall. I mean,
I
I
don't.
have her name here, but I can't remember if it was mentioned in the volume.
Yeah, I don't remember either. To be honest, like I don't think she was given a name. I could be wrong, but I think I remember being a little confused what her name was.
Yeah, I don't like. There isn't really a point in me like hiding her name, so I could
No,
tell it to you
yeah,
if you
yeah,
it
that's
it her,
fine.
her name is Kobachi Osaragi.
Soragi. Okay.
What we learned about her that she got attached to the little person that she drew on her palm, which I thought was really funny,
You know,
and she,
about that, I wonder if she did that just to as a way to try to calm Miko down,
oh
and she
oh
didn't actually. She was just all act because Miko was kind of playing the straight man, and then she did that. She swallowed it, and Miko kind of took it serious. Took it serious. Like she kind of got attached to the guy, to the person
yeah,
on her.
she ate Yusaku.
And so I don't know. I thought it was a clever way to help her get her mind at ease, or because sometimes laughter
Mm.
is a good way to ease someone's tensions and
Yeah, no, I
fears.
love that. I love that interpretation. I think that's definitely a really good possibility. Like that she just did it to help Miko out. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, just that it's like something to get Miko's mind on other things for a while before the speech and to
Right.
help her ease her nerves a bit. Yeah, totally. That's definitely something I could see her doing.
Yeah. If it wasn't like that, which it might not be, but
Mm,
that's one way I took it. But if it's not, it's still really funny. Like she
right.
just kind of ran with it. I really liked
Yeah.
it.
I think I'll name him Yuzuki. Yeah. Really nice. And then the last little thing I took note on her was that the when she was holding her endorsement speech for Miko, no one listened to her, which was pretty sad.
Yeah, that was sad.
She didn't have the tricks that Kaguya did.
or the posse, really.
Yeah.
She's got the teacher. She's got Fujiwara out there.
True. Yeah, Team Miyuki was very, very prepared.
Very well prepared.
Very. Yeah, and then of course we learned after the election was over, we learned that Kobachi didn't even want to necessarily be on the student council anyway. It was just something that she did to help Miko. And
She's
actually,
just a really good friend.
right, and with that in mind, it really kind of adds to your idea that she did the whole kanji person thing on purpose. Like, yeah, I really like that idea.
She seems like a person who likes to be in the background more, and maybe that is why we didn't see her name. If we did, maybe we did see her name, but I really don't recall seeing it, or at least they don't acknowledge her too much by name.
Yeah, I also don't remember that.
So I guess not having that name, it just shows that she maybe likes being a support kind of background person. Doesn't want to be up there, not because she'd be nervous. She just because she didn't seem nervous about speaking per se.
No.
But just that she doesn't. That's not what she wants.
Right. Yeah, I mean, she like, we can't even see her eyes. Like, she has these big old glasses, and we don't even get a glimpse of her eyes through them. So with that, it seems like she doesn't, like, maybe she doesn't like to be the center of attention and to expose herself a lot.
It could be the trope where, it's the bespectacled kind of homely looking person who in fact is just this gorgeous individual but just wants to hide behind the glasses or whatever.
I kind of think I do think she is beautiful, because every girl in this series, right? So yeah, I think you might be onto something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've seen enough anime in my time.
Yeah, and I mean, we have praised Akasaka before about just how well he
true.
He comes up with these character designs. Like, they always look gorgeous.
I agree. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. So I think that's it for all of the characters this volume.
Whew.
Yeah. I was really happy for this volume to not only be the debut volume for Miko Ino, but also be the volume where we got the name for Maki.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
Well, and also I about this volume, just story wise, I like how he did Miyuki gaining back the student council position, the student council president position. And because I don't know, just the way he brought in Miko just made it a lot more interesting than just him comedically winning somehow,
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think overall it was done very well.
Definitely. So let's dig into the comedy in this volume. And I'll start by just mentioning Kaguya's portrait of Miyuki.
Oh gosh.
Because I thought that was one of the funniest parts.
So funny.
And like how she just kept making it uglier and uglier, but she still just thought he looked too handsome. It's like, even at the end when he had these like massive cheeks and monobrow, and like she was still like really turned on by it, sort of.
She's like, don't get the wrong idea. And he's like, that's right, I look too handsome in this drawing.
Oh, poor Miyuki.
Yeah, that can't be the greatest self-esteem booster there, but obviously they don't dwell on it.
And how I also like how Kaguya like drew roses on there without even noticing. It's like, wait, when did those roses appear there?
That's how she sees them, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. And kind of like a side joke in that chapter was seeing Chika's drawing of Ai.
Oh, so great. So great. This nice little thing.
And at the time Chika was just really proud of it too. It's like, look.
She's like, ta-da! Oh gosh.
So at least that's something that Chika apparently isn't very good at. Because I mean,
Right.
we've seen her be at least decent at various different things, and in some cases even pretty good at them. But when she's been tutoring Miyuki, but yeah, she's not an artist.
Right. No.
Miyuki has her beat there.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing. Um, I, I I really love the from a comedic standpoint. I really love the Miyuki's eye chapters.
Yes.
You know, where he finally gets enough sleep, but
uh,
you know, Kaguya doesn't like that, and then he goes back to being sleep deprived, and you know, she automatically just basically Cupid arrow to the heart.
yeah.
But also the chapter after that with Kashiwagi, that was just all around hilarious. I don't know if I'd call that romantic per se. I think I guess what Ishigami said about true love, that was pretty sweet. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't about anybody specifically, but just the concept itself was nice. But besides that, everything else was just hilarious. That whole
Absolutely.
chapter, everyone's answers and reactions, and then Kaguya at the end, just letting out her inner animal, I guess. Yeah, so it was all very well done.
Yeah, that's also like one of the most like just hilarious parts of the story. I think when Miyuki comes to school and he looks like his eyes look really like they really look like his sister's eyes. Because I think they have the same eyes. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
he's
yeah.
always sleep deprived, so they look different most of the time. But I think in
Yeah,
that
you're
chapter,
totally right.
it looks basically exactly like Kei's eyes, I think. So that's nice. Another really funny part we touched on it a little bit before is when Miko, when she chooses Chika as her vice president, and
Yeah.
she starts praising her, and she says these things like she's fluent in 5 languages. Okay, that's actually a really good praise. And then there's the other thing, she won a piano competition, and then in 4th grade. Okay, that was a while ago, but sure. And then the last one, yeah, she gets average grades.
She's like, average grades.
That was also something I thought just a really funny just situation in general. I think that chapter, like the first chapter with Miko, there was just funny in more ways than that. Also, just
Yeah, for
seeing
sure.
just how she rubbed Miyuki and you the wrong way so much, and how
Yeah.
how Miyuki like immediately just started like seeing her as a really serious rival, and he kind of felt inferior to her in a way, I feel, and how she just kept calling him ex-president Shirogane and all that.
Yeah,
Really
she
funny.
was picking a fight from the very beginning,
Yeah.
and that whole thing was just, the interaction was hilarious, and then the punchline at the end where you see her campaign pledge.
Yeah.
That was great. I was expecting her to be serious, but this is so extreme. I did not expect this. Like, how, to be honest, I was like, how does she expect anyone to vote for her? And I guess
Yeah, right.
that's what's makes it interesting.
Uh-huh. But and this election turned out to be her most successful one ever, most
Yeah,
likely.
yeah.
She probably always ended up at the bottom in all of her previous attempts.
Also in that chapter, Kaguya's like, "Where is everyone?" Because
Yeah, oh,
she
that's
didn't
right.
pick it up. I
You
was
know,
like, I laughed and I was like, "Oh."
yeah, I can sort of relate to that, like from back when I was in school and like was probably younger than Kaguya and those the characters are here, but back when I was young in school, like I remember like there were not often, but I remember like a few instances where there were dates when I just for some reason I just didn't find anyone to be with, and I just didn't find my crew or whatever. I just walked around and just didn't. It was just a wandering around day and just like what is this? So yeah, that was
Where's everybody?
yeah, that was funny.
I guess even the next chapter where Kaguya is trying to manipulate Miko somehow, but she in herself gets manipulated in almost joining Miko.
Right.
So
Yes.
I mean, I find it just so funny how when it comes to Miyuki, she could just be so easily swayed, either if it's beneficial for their love life, if you will.
Yeah, that was really funny, and how Miko Ino just unintentionally started giving like basically saying things that Kaguya wanted to hear.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like you two are the perfect match. That was really funny.
Perfect match.
Uh, yeah, and then I think we can't talk about the comedy in this volume without talking about the last chapter.
Oh
Uh,
yes. Oh
where
gosh.
and just the beginning of that chapter alone, where the narrator talks about underwear, and he talks about it as if though, I think, it kind of, it's angled in a way so that it sounds as if though he's talking about like women's underwear.
Nah, man. I was like, no, this is a trap. I know it's a trap. And yeah, it was Fujiwara.
For
Not
you.
Fujiwara, it was you. It was, aha!
And
Yeah,
just
that is. I mean, look. I mean, yeah, he gets harassed here, which is not cool. But
no, not
at the
cool.
same time, what are you doing? Changing out in the open in the student council room. Like, that is not the place to get butt naked.
You know what he should have done? He should have gone into that secret chamber, like,
Yeah.
behind the council.
He knew about it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was so funny. And how.
But it was hilarious.
Apparently, depending on what kind of underwear you're wearing, you're a man whore.
Yeah,
It's
you're
a
a
very,
man whore.
very important thing. The amazing man whores man.
Oh gosh.
And like, just the whole bit there with Kaguya and Miyuki there, how she was trying to come up with a plan to so that she would be able to see Miyuki's underwear, and just she just keeps realizing, no matter how I do this, I'm going to come up as a pervert.
Right.
And then Miyuki, misunderstanding her questions when she starts asking him, just plainly asking him, he thinks she's talking about girls' underwear.
His face, so great.
And then the final bit is like Miko Ino entering the room at like the worst possible timing.
Oh yeah.
Ah,
Such terrible timing.
what a first impression she got of the student council there. Or if that was the first, like, it was at least an early
One of
impression.
the first.
Yeah.
I mean, she comes into the room and freaking Kaguya's like, Shirogane, you mad whore. And
Yeah. And Miyuki just shouting after her, I love black panties. Oh my god. And Miko Ino, she's just terrified of Miyuki after that.
So great.
Oh man.
That had me dying, not gonna lie.
Absolutely. It's so
I can't
so
wait
funny.
to see that animated.
It's great.
But you can't. It doesn't stop there, because you had Ishigami buying some boxer briefs,
That's right.
or at least he stopped wearing boxer briefs. I guess we don't know if it was boxer briefs or not. Probably not. Maybe just regular boxers. I'm not sure. But
Yeah, whatever it is, yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
To be honest, when I read it and then, he was going on his thing at Chika and Kaguya, and then the story moved on, I was thinking, you know what, I bet Ishigami's going to go and buy, he's going to stop wearing tidy whities, and lo and behold, he changed. I was like, called it. But I also like, it's to be continued. So
Oh yeah.
we're going to get more of this.
I wonder, like, I actually can't remember if it's a to be continued for this specific thing, or if it's just a to be continued for the book in general.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I can't remember which it is, but yeah. And I actually remember when I first bought this volume, really quick tangents. I once bought a volume of another manga way back when, where for some reason there were a couple of pages somewhere in the volume where it just hadn't been printed. Or like it was like some of the pages had just been printed very loosely, and then some pages were completely white. Clearly just something went wrong when they printed it, And so since then I've kind of just had as a routine, kind of, to whenever I buy a new manga volume, to just not look like, not pay much attention to what's on the page, but just really quickly just flip through the book and just to see if there are any white pages before I buy it, basically. If I'm in a bookstore and buy it and buy it like that. Obviously it doesn't happen much at all. It only happened that one time. So it's not like I really need to do this, but it's something I started doing anyway. So like I'll see the pages, but I won't like pay attention to them, or I won't. They'll just flip by in like a split second. But I remember when I bought this volume, I actually like the one image that I actually did see as I flipped through, and that actually like stayed in my head was you standing there with his back turned and in his underwear. So that was like the first image I saw of this like from inside of this volume.
You're like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen?
Yeah, like what's the context for that? I have to find out. uh, so yeah.
Getting steamy in the student council room.
Apparently.
I love how Chika just teases him the whole time about it.
I love her like that kind of face that she does sometimes because she's done it before. It's kind of like a smirk and also like I don't know. I
A
can't describe
giggle
it.
or something.
Yeah. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's really funny. Great face.
You were tidy whities. Really good. Lastly, I kind of have a bit, unless you have anything more on comedy, I figured I have one that we could kind of segue from comedy into romance through.
No, I think I'm good.
Cool. Then I'll just quickly mention the first chapter, which I thought was really funny, how like the rumors spread about.
Yeah.
Oh, Miyuki's gonna confess to Kaguya, and everyone at school was just like super excited about that and just gathered around. But moving from that into romance, I think that moment did have some nice romantic parts. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, how Miyuki basically, like he's so close to confessing. In his mind, he's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to confess to Kaguya. Ultimately, he doesn't, but Kaguya responding basically that whatever you had asked me, my answer would have been the same. Yes, I accept.
That was, yeah, that
Like,
was,
oof,
wow.
that was basically a confession from her side, like basically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was really, really nice.
And their faces were really close together. I think that may be the
Oh
closest. Well,
yeah, or maybe.
I guess so. You have the star and moon one. Their faces got pretty close there.
Ooh, you're right.
But from this angle where they're facing each other, whereas before they were kind of side by side in a way. Yeah, this is the closest I think they've been.
Yeah, like this like full page of just their heads, like or like their faces there in profile. Yeah, and in this instance, they're both kind of aware of what's happening. In the
Right.
Moon and Star chapter, Miyuki wasn't really aware of it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, this is more romantic in that regard.
I mean, like I said earlier, she makes so many cute faces in this one, and it's just kind of cute and romantic in that way. She could making it worse than it should be. But that's hilarious. But it's like, what? It's a love triangle?
Right. Yeah. Ah, so funny.
My favorite romantic part, and I'm sure you probably agree, is when he asks, or Miyuki asks Kaguya to be his vice president, and you know, she's obviously really touched, or really happy about that, and Hayasaka makes a comment. It's like, you see, he made sure to ask you because he thinks so highly of you, whereas you just kind of told nonchalantly Chika and Ishigami.
Basically, yeah, and also the fact that he said that he needed her.
Right.
Like that I think that was also a pretty crucial part that made I kind of realize that.
Yeah, totally. And obviously, Shirogane is kind of like fist bump, or it's like, yes, that when
Success.
when she agrees, success. Yeah, I like that, and her okay sign was really cute too.
Yeah.
Has a little different context here in the West nowadays. Like, I know is some Hispanic thing. No, I'm not talking about that. But in some Hispanic countries, the okay sign is kind of like a gotcha kind of a thing. Like you get trolled, like Rick rolled.
Oh, really?
Something like that.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you'll see it in memes, like, hey, I got something for you. Then you press the meme, and it's the okay sign or whatever. Ha, gotcha. Something like that. Anyway, so it's in that context, it's kind of funny.
Oh, I didn't even know about that. Huh.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's a really big tangent. But I thought it was a good romantic moment.
Yeah, and just Kaguya not really being able to use her words there, but we still she's still able to confirm to Miyuki there. It's
Yeah.
very, very sweet.
I wonder what she would have sounded like if she had tried to speak there.
Yeah, like probably she would have probably had like a really shaky voice or something like that. Yeah, so nice. I have one more thing on romance, and it's a pretty small. It's really just a line. It's from I think it's from the ending of the Miyuki's Beautiful Eyes chapter,
Okay.
where uh, he says that I mean he kind of says it to himself. I only want to be popular with one girl.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was so
That's
good.
so good.
So good.
Which I mean, we kind of
So smooth.
got that. Yeah, we kind of got that as well in the previous volume where I tried to, I guess, quote unquote, seduce him, but
Mm-hmm.
he didn't fall for it, and he told her that I have feelings for somebody else, and yeah.
Can I bring up one more thing for comedy, and
Hmm.
then I have another thing for romance?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Uh, so it's in this chapter, the his eyes chapter. Chica's very freaked out about this. Like she can't even get close to him. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just it's all comedic, but I don't know if like maybe she feels intimidated by his look. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of funny.
It is really funny. I think everyone that's close to him, like everyone in the student council, kind of has not not as strong of a negative reaction as Kaguya did, but both Chika and you, they had at least
That's true.
they were a bit weirded out by it since that's probably just because they know him better than most other students, I
That's
imagine.
true.
Meanwhile, everyone else just like opened up to him and be like, "Hey, good morning. Do you want to go to karaoke afterward?" Blah blah blah. Like like no one else had a negative reaction at all.
And then I mean yeah that whole chapter is funny, but yeah, it has good romantic moments. But
Mm.
the romantic moment I want to touch on is actually kind of a theory that I had mentioned earlier that
Uh-huh.
once again I brought up in our chat, but I want to clarify here is I was thinking about I forget which discussion I was listening to. It may have been Volume 5 discussion.
Mm.
And I was thinking about Kaguya and the Moon and why she would hate that story so much, other than it being her namesake. And the thought came to me. I actually remember exactly why the thought came to me.
Ah.
It's because I was watching the anime and the first season, and the Shinomiya father asks her to come to the main family home, and they say it's in Kyoto. And I didn't realize it was in Kyoto when I read it in the
Mm.
manga. It may have said it, but I totally skimmed by it
I
if it
think
did.
I think it did say it. If I could be wrong,
Yeah,
but I think it did say.
I'm sure that detail would have been in the manga. So I think I
Mm.
just didn't realize it. So early before I've said that I thought Kaguya could potentially be forced to marry someone like a arranged marriage kind of a situation, and that's could be uh, the reason why she doesn't like the Kaguya uh, Hime Princess Kaguya story.
Mm.
So that's still a possibility, but I think it's more likely that she'll be forced to move back to Kyoto, away from Miyuki and her friends in Tokyo, and that it's kind of like her leaving to the moon,
Yeah.
and that would make it really difficult for her to have any sort of relationship with Miyuki. Now, it's still possible for that to happen, plus an arranged marriage kind of thing, but but at the very least, I think that there will be a point in time where the father will force her to come to back to Kyoto. That's my theory, and
Mm.
obviously Miyuki will have to somehow overcome that. Well, I guess maybe Kaguya, probably Kaguya as well. Obviously, I mean,
Right.
uh, that's it's definitely her problem. But I think it could be a good chance for Miyuki to show how much he cares for her. That's my thinking.
I think that's a really interesting theory, which has a I think well depending on how closely Akasaka is going to go with the story to the quote unquote source material, even though it's not really an adaptation.
Yeah.
Um, Depending on how much he goes with it, it absolutely could go that route. I think that would be definitely an interesting thing. I guess that's mostly it for the discussion. I did have one other thing I wanted to mention about. Well, basically last time when we talked, and we mentioned Miko Ino a little bit, and I said that um, she had kind of blown up in popularity after season 2 of the anime came out because, well, most people that consume this story in some way are anime watchers
Hmm.
and all that. But anyway, I went to my anime list and looked up which of the Kaguya-sama characters are the most popular on there, because they have a system where you can basically favorite 10 different characters, like 10
Okay.
characters in general, like out of all manga and anime, like so you have 10 slots to put favorites in, so you can't put an infinite amount. So basically, I went to each of the pages for the main characters of the story to see which ones like had the most favorites. And actually, Miko Ino was not in the top three,
Oh.
which I was under the impression that she had become like that, just crazy popular overnight, sort of, but apparently not.
Hmm.
I guess I was wrong about that. Do you think you could guess which three? You don't have to say them in any specific order, but do you think you could guess which three are the most, like the three most popular according to at least my anime list?
Hmm.
And the top three really are in a league of their own. Like, because there's a pretty big gap between the number 3 and 4.
Really?
So which three do you think?
Well, I gotta think Kaguya is one of them.
Yes, she is.
Um, because of her somewhat meme status, it's Chika's got to be up there, right?
Definitely.
Now it's determining who's number three. I don't.
Actually, before you guess the one, I will say that Chika is number 2
Hmm.
and Kaguya is number 3.
Oh my gosh.
So the one that's left
Who's number
is the most
one?
on my anime list, is the most popular character from Kaguya-sama Love is War.
What?
Who do you think
Okay.
that? Who do you think
I
that
gotta
is?
think. I really gotta think about this. Okay, so I think nearly a lot of these are usually dominated by the women, because waifus.
Right.
Um, so I had to think, okay, well, who could possibly be the waifu to beat both of those? And the only person that I'm just saying possibilities. The only person I could think is Hayasaka, but I don't know how that would be possible with how much popularity the other two have. So I don't think it's her. I think it's either Ishigami or Miyuki. And I really like Miyuki, but I think Ishigami is really relatable, so I'm gonna say Ishigami.
You're absolutely right.
Yes!
Nice work. Yeah, Ishigami is the most popular
Wow.
character at least on my anime list. But I think that's a pretty good place to kind of
Yeah.
get that sort of data from.
I guess season 2 must be pretty big for him then.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
So out of curiosity, just number 4, because you said the gap was so huge. Who's number 4?
That was Miko Ino.
Oh, that was Miko. So Miyuki's not even.
Yeah,
Not
he
even
was
up?
number 5. He was
Oh, okay.
he was a
Okay,
little
I
bit
guess.
below Miko.
Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
definitely. Yeah, I think I had Ai Hayasaka as my favorite there for a while on my anime list. I usually, because in my favorite characters section, I keep it to one character per franchise, kind of, so I don't get like a bunch of Attack on Titan and Kaguya-sama characters in there. So I had Ai Hayasaka there as favorite for like a while at the beginning. Then I had you as my favorite there for a while, and now I've had Miko Ino there as my favorite for quite a while now. So it has switched for me, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting top 3, I think.
Yeah, that I as much as I guessed it, it's still kind of shocking to think that Ishigami would beat both Chika and Kaguya.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I'm not too surprised that Chika is as popular as she is, or even more popular than Kaguya, because she's Chika.
Right.
But I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to see a male character in the number 1 spot
Yeah.
above in a rom-com like this. So I don't know. That's kind of
Absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go further into the volumes and see why people have him at number one. I don't blame them from what I've read per se. I mean, I wouldn't do it yet, obviously, but anyway,
Yeah.
interested to see.
Definitely. Do you have a favorite character at this point in the story?
Favorite character?
Has it changed? Is it still
No,
Kaguya?
I think it's still Kaguya. Yeah.
Nice, nice. I'm having a little bit of a hard time deciding on a favorite character at this point. Obviously, I know how it's gonna end up, but I'm having a bit of a hard time right now deciding on who I like the most. So I don't think I can give an answer right now for this volume. Actually,
That's fair.
uh, there's just there's so many that I like.
There's so many good ones, right?
There really are. And last question, although I think I know the answer to it. Have you changed sides on who you're rooting for? Probably not, but
Yeah, not yet.
just checking. Yeah. Yeah. Still rooting for Kaguya to beat Miyuki.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. I still think it'd be good for Miyuki to confess, but I'm
Yeah.
willing to be wrong.
Well, of course, of course. But yeah, I think we've said everything we wanted to say.
Yep, I'm good.
Lovely. So thank you so much to everyone who listened to this. If you're listening to this on YouTube, we have some links in the video description. Among other things, there's a link to James's other YouTube channel where it's called Intensity, where he talks about different video game topics and streams and stuff. And there's a link to my SoundCloud and YouTube where I go under the name Leon Morris, where I share all of my music that I produce. There's also links to our Facebook and Twitter pages, and as well as an open Discord group that we have where people can join and geek out about manga and anime stuff, just in general. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you all next time where we'll talk about Volume 8. Bye-bye!
Goodbye.